Hello, everybody. Psychic Soul Senses here. I want to talk about. I'm going to go vote Monday, and as much as I don't believe in the system, we have to do something. We have to do something about these cops. These cops in our schools are not doing us any good. I'm going to show some footage of some information. You know, it's awfully funny, guys, that the day of the shooting, these cops stand around and they're so worried about their own lives when they vowed to protect and serve. And I remember, I was telling my son about this today. This is not a cop story, but when I was 14 years old, we had this Cocker Spaniel. I lived in Texas. I grew up in Texas. And one morning, it sounded like our hot water heater had bursted a line. And I ran to the kitchen to check it out. It was just me and my dad at home. And as I'm going to the kitchen, I look out the window on our big porch. We had a huge porch. My Cocker Spaniel is barking at this biggest rattlesnake I'd ever seen in my life. Now, I lived in Texas, so there was rattlesnakes everywhere. It wasn't unusual. I've seen them all the time. And my not even thinking brain, still not developed, thought was to run out there and grab that dog from that rattlesnake. He was, striking at my dog. His head was so big he had a button and a half. If you know anything about snakes, you know that snake is old. His rattlers were almost 2.5 inches long. He was huge. Or she. She was protecting babies. And the funny thing about that is I was thinking about how I risked my life to run out there and grab that dog. Now, throughout my growing up, I know children look at life differently. I was a young teenager. But I saved that dog. I would have jumped in front of a gunman for a kid. There's no doubt in my mind. But our police officers are trained to put their lives before yours. Your revenue for them, that's all you are. That's all you are. And they are trained that if their life is in any way, in any danger, in any way, to protect themselves at all costs. That's what I think. That's what I believe. That's how I feel. And I believe we're witnessing this because as I get into this video and read some things to you, it's mind-blowing. Okay? And it's awfully funny that the gun rally was going on that day. And there was famous people going to show up and sing. And then it's like the shooting happened, and then they canceled their gun rally. It's almost like the Democrats did this on purpose. It's almost like it was done on purpose so that way they can be down on you having guns, but they need guns, and they need to be in your schools protecting you more and more and more, which Uvalde showed us. They ain't protecting us. They are not protecting us. So let's get into this.
Is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
Breaking news, a horrific scene in Texas. A gunman opens fire at an elementary school, killing 14 students and one teacher after he shot and killed his grandmother. Thank you for joining us. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
And I'm Ellen Leyva. You're watching Eyewitness News at 3 live on ABC 7, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. And that breaking news, another mass shooting in the United States, this time at an elementary school in a small Texas town. 14 children are dead along with their teacher. Students seen running out of classrooms when the gunfire broke out. This school massacre happening in Uvalde, Texas. It's a small town of less than 20,000 people. It's about 80 miles west of San Antonio. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand is live in the newsroom with more on this breaking story. Jory.
Ellen, Colleen, this is another dark day for this nation. We are awaiting a press conference from authorities in Texas that could happen at any minute. But this happened in the small town of Uvalde, Texas. If you haven't heard that name before, it sadly will now be known the same way we now know the city Sandy Hook. An 18-year-old high school student from Uvalde entered Robb Elementary today with a handgun and possibly a rifle as well, and shot and killed those 14 students. This school was second to fourth graders, so we're talking 6 to 10-year-old kids. The gunman also shot and killed a teacher, and the governor of Texas reporting that 2 law enforcement officers were also shot, though they survived. The shooter also apparently shot and killed his grandmother before heading to the school and carrying out this rampage. The shooter himself was shot and killed. We are still awaiting word whether it was law enforcement that did it or whether the shooter killed himself, but we are told that members of Customs and Border Patrol's elite tactical unit happened to be in the area. They raced to the school and responded to help. One of those officers was one of the 2 officers to be shot. But again, 14 students dead as well as a teacher.
When parents drop their kids off at school,
They rushed to the scene.
they have every expectation.
They rushed to the scene to help those officers that were wounded. I mean, that's the way he made it sound too. So, because that's what they did, and they just happened. Tactical team just happened to be in the area. What's that about?
To know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends. And there are families who are in mourning right now, and the state of Texas is in mourning with them for the reality that these parents are not going to be able to pick up their children.
It was just under 10 years ago that a similar shooting took place at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut. 20 students were killed in that attack, along with 6 teachers. And in another striking similarity, the shooter in that case shot and killed his mother before carrying out the attack. There were calls for gun control after that shooting. There was a bipartisan effort in Congress to come up with legislation, but in the end, Republicans shot down those efforts, and little to nothing has been done to address this problem in the decades since. There were 60 active shooters at schools in the United States last year alone. Right now, there are families in Texas still holding out hope that the child they cannot locate is simply somewhere else but still alive. There was a reunification center, but for more than a dozen families tonight, their child will not be coming home. We heard one father looking for his 10-year-old daughter, McKenna, ask one of our ABC News reporters where the funeral home was in town because they couldn't find her anywhere else. Authorities are waiting until all families have been notified before releasing details about the victims' names and ages again. We are awaiting that press conference to learn more. Reporting live in the newsroom, Jory Rand, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC 7.
Yeah, whatever, Mark Brown. Okay, now, let's go here. Let's talk about this. This is it too. This is it right here. I feel like let's push cops in schools. Why? Why? As things went on and unfolded with Uvalde, these parents are mad. These parents are mad. So I'm going to go back to that and go victims. We're going to see what these parents are mad. They're upset because they don't want cops in the schools. So and they're mad. They're mad. They're demanding for the police chief.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Tonight, we return to a community still in pain, still searching for answers, and still wondering why it took police more than an hour to enter the classroom where a gunman was murdering fourth graders. At a hearing today, families had their first...
Because their life is more important. So they think.
Face-to-face confrontation with the Texas public safety chief. He's the one in charge of the dozens of state troopers who waited in the hallway during the deadliest elementary school shooting in a decade. Today, Colonel Stephen McGraw admitted his officers made mistakes, but defiantly refused to step down. Grieving family members told McGraw he has disgraced the state of Texas. New information about the response was revealed today, leaving those who lost loved ones to question why police didn't try and save the lives of 19 children and 2 teachers. Today's tense hearing took place in Austin, and that's where CBS's Janet Shamlian is. Good evening, Janet.
Nora, good evening to you. Family members say the lack of information and accountability, now 5 months after the shooting, makes them feel like they are being victimized all over again.
Angry families of Uvalde victims demanding the resignation of DPS Director Steve McCraw.
If you're a man of your word, you'll resign. We're not waiting any longer.
McCraw previously said he'd step down if any of his officers had culpability in the botched response. One trooper, Juan Maldonado, was fired last week for his inaction, and others are under investigation. Maldonado can be seen in this body cam video, obtained by a San Antonio station.
This is so sad, dude. He shot kids, bro.
The video also contains audio of unidentified officers concerned about their own safety while the gunman was inside with the children.
What's the safest way to do this? I'm not trying to get clapped up.
But at today's hearing, in his first public comment since June, McCraw was defiant.
But I can tell you this right now. DPS is an institution, okay, right now, did not fail the community, plain and simple.
Jesse Rizzo, the uncle of Jackie Cazares, blamed McCraw for what he called continued misinformation, tearing the community apart.
Our town is divided. Our teachers feel betrayed.
McCraw blamed local police in the days after the massacre. DPS had 91 officers on scene. Brett Cross was the legal guardian of 10-year-old Uzziah Garcia, one of the 19 children killed in the massacre.
This is the person that's in charge of DPS, and he flat out lied. I called him on his bullshit, and he still lied.
McCraw today said the DPS investigation is continuing and will be presented to the district attorney by year's end.
Was murdering fourth graders.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. And his department's done no wrong. No wrong. You have not trained your officers. They're not trained for what they vow to do. They take an oath to protect us. And they deny that oath. I mean, they're not trained to protect and serve us. That's for sure. We know that now. We've always known that. We're just now speaking up about it. So, this article is, should cops be in schools? In September of 2019, a 6-year-old Kaya Raleigh was arrested at elementary Carter School in Orlando, Florida for having a tantrum. That video is on here. She was charged with battery and taken to a youth detention center where she was fingerprinted and her mugshot was taken. Later that day, the same cop who had arrested Raleigh arrested an 8-year-old boy. The incident was newsworthy, but not unique. In 2017, a Franklin, Indiana police officer arrested a 9-year-old boy with autism for fighting another student. The child was charged with battery and criminal mischief. Some tens of thousands of cops and security guards roam the halls of America's 100,000-ish public schools. Public schools. Because if you research it, private schools don't. Okay? I guarantee you our private school in Ironton does not. Okay? But our public schools do. They target the poor. They target the poor. Urban areas is the place that they put these cops in. Okay? I'm telling you. It makes me... I almost cried during that video of those people speaking up. And those cops are out there not wanting to go in because their own asses. Didn't we? I'm telling you, we gotta vote. We gotta vote these people out. You know, the other thing they want to do is make it to where your child has to prove sex for sports. Let's check this out. Sex verification in sports. It's even on Wikipedia already. They're wanting to over-sexualize our children. We got to step up and protect our kids, man. We got to get these cops out of schools. They're making criminals out of our children. Law enforcement entered schools en masse for the first time after Columbine Massacre in 1999, which left 13 dead. So this professor calls it a new breed of juvenile delinquents. The most often deployed as racially coded language, the term was used to describe the white perpetrators of the Columbine shooting. Politicians elaborated, talking about killers in the classroom and the predators on the playground. Fear pushed school boards to welcome cops who were tasked with arresting misbehaving students or removing them from the classroom. Our kids are getting criminal records just going to school. Do you think that stops there? Because the same cops that arrest your 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old is going to get them after they're out driving and running around. That's it. And then they're going to go to prison, and then that's money for them. Oh, and then don't forget, they got to go to rehab too, because these politicians in our town need that 36 grand in their pocket per student, per person. Not to mention the 13 rehabs they have where you can just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching all the way through the rehabs. Right? Oh, and don't forget house arrest ankle monitors on your medical card. Woo, yeah. We got to do something different. So anyways, the article goes on to talk about how, despite the fact mass shootings are more common in suburbs and rural areas, most of today's school cops work in urban districts and heavily black districts in particular. In Virginia, black children represent 39% of the school-aged population. 75% of those are arrested in school and by school resource officers. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? So that's about only, 12% of them are safe out of 39%? In Louisiana, black children represent 40% of the school-aged population, and 69% of those are arrested. In 28 states across the country, the share of black students who were arrested is 10% higher than the share of enrollment in schools. In 10 other states, the share is 20% points higher. When cops are in schools, they largely do what they're trained to do. They don't become friends with students. They don't provide counseling or instructional or institutional support, much less teach math. Though some cops work hard to integrate into educational communities, police are there to arrest and handcuff children. Cops arrest kids who won't put their phone away. They arrest girls who violate dress code. They throw minors to the ground. All in schools with police reported 3.5 times as many arrests as schools without police. And school shootings continue. And we get what we got in Uvalde. So I talked to a woman yesterday, and she's awesome. She's very awesome. Her first career was a police officer, and she is a woman of color. Beautiful, beautiful woman. Love her soul. She was talking about being harassed she was a whistleblower. She became a whistleblower, and she was harassed by that. It got so bad that her lieutenant had said she needed to either find another career or another place to go, and he would help her because he could not keep her safe. So Beth, if you're watching this video, I want you to know that I will protect you on my platform, and I will take up for you, because I don't care what anybody says. What you've been through was horrible, and I will give you room to share your story. My email address is crg6198@gmail.com. Anybody can email me if you'd like. I love to talk. I'm at home with my kids and my mom and dad. My mom has cancer, and I'm taking care of her. She's got it in her blood, guys, and it's going to her brain, so who knows. But this video isn't about that, and I just wanted to get this out there, guys. We got to do more. Oh, yeah, the sexual verification in sports. Do you really want... Say you enroll your kid, your 6-year-old kid, you enroll them in T-ball. Well, because it's legal for you to send your 6-year-old girl to school as a boy, right? And the kids can choose their gender now without parents deciding or helping or whatever. They want to be able to check their genitals and make sure that they're the sex that you're claiming so that they can play sports. What is this world coming to, guys? What is this world coming to? Alright, anyways, I wanted to get this out here. I hope this video goes. Everybody have a good day.